What is the ideal way to structure training sessions from beginning to end, and why? And what are some common mistakes that you see in this area?
I think it's a good question. But it depends on the age group. When we go to the very small ones, the youngest ones, 7 and 8 years old, we should recommend that the coach is not making any warm-up, because I have not seen any Australian, African or Asian boy or girl which have some muscle problems, because they're always on the move and don't get injured. So we can forget about warming up and go straight into the game, because asking them, you want to have some drills or some exercise, or you want to play? 100% will tell you, no, we want to play. That's natural. So you expose them to a game, and after 15 minutes playing the game, they may getting tired. Then, yes, and they look to you. That means they want to do something different. They're getting tired, they're getting bored. And that is a moment that you interrupt the game and ask them, why you lost? Tell me. The result was 4-1. Why you lost? And then maybe the girl or the boy tell you, no, we were not as good in tackling, or our passing was very poor. So you focus then on the deficiencies the players discovered in their game, and try to choose drills to an improvement of these deficiencies you discovered inside of the game. So you train with corrective exercises for the betterment of the game you played before, and after the training of the drills, you go back to the simplified game to find out if you see any improvement. So you're almost like a doctor who make an analysis of the sick person, and then you describe some pills. But with one pill, you can't get a better health. You have to take several pills. So we have to take several exercises, and exercises are only there for the betterment of the game. And that is why it is not logical that most of the coaches in the world start with an exercise and then do a game. And very often the game has no relation to the exercise. So the learning of the kids is not as effective as in my approach, which is completely different. I see it from a different way of angle, and the training should not last more than 90 minutes, because after 90 minutes the players don't have the attention, especially not when they're young ones. But even for older ones, 16 and 17 years, 1.5 hours is also very intensive from the physical point of view and from the attentional point of view. So it's important for the coach to structure the coaching session in a way that you use the analytic method after the global method. That means after presenting a game, they are breaking it down, the game, in several components. Isolate one aspect, train the aspect, and then give it back to the game. So you always train in function of the competition, of the simplified game. And the simplified game is a part of the competition you play each weekend. And then, doing it this way, you have a much better performance of the young player than ever before.
How does this structure change as players age?
Look, we have teachers in kindergarten. We have teachers in elementary school. We have teachers in secondary school. And we have teachers at university. Imagine a lecturer of physical education or any lecturer of a university is going to teach in a kindergarten. So he's unable to teach. But a kindergarten teacher will teach bad things at the university. He's unable to teach. That is why we need specialists. Also in soccer coaching, we need specialists for the initial phase. Coaches who specialize for the age group up to 10 years. And then we have specialists also to teach in the critical phase up to 14, 15 years. And then others to 19 years. They know the children very well, and they have adapted the structure of their session perfectly to the characteristics of the age group. That means a player of 17 years is much more motivated than an 8 or 9 years old one. The 8 or 9 years old one want to have a lot of stimuli and can't stick with the stimuli for a certain time. So he must have a lot of variations. But an adolescent of 16, 17 years, you can expose for half an hour to counterattacking or for improving covering defense. But a young one is impossible, because a young one, after 15 minutes, he's running out of attention and needs another stimuli. It's the same in warming up. The older the players get, the more important is the warming up. And the game you structure for a 16 and 18 years old player is completely different, has nothing to do with the game you expose to a player 8 and 9 years old. So we need specialists for all age groups. And Inter Milan, the world famous club from Italy, some 14, 15 years ago, when I had the honor to coach over there, I convinced them that for every age group we must have specialists. And what is very important too, they should all get the same money, independent of the age group they coach. So it is more important that the coach of the youngest player, they get the same salary as much as a coach of the 17 and 18 years old players. But in most of the clubs, the coaches of the older players, they get double as much money as the coach of the kids. That is wrong, because you get a lot of conflicts in your coaching stuff. But you get then maybe the worst coach at the beginning phase. But when you start the wrong way, everything follows consequently. So it's very important to start the coaching process from 7, 8 years in the most optimal way possible. To play the Fanino game 3 against 3 on 4 goals, play on 4 goals and not only on one centralized goals, not to form a tunnel vision. In the same moment you play on 4 goals, you widen up the vision and you give options to the player and make the player thinking. Because we are teaching in Soccer Dome a soccer that starts in the head and is finished with the feet. And we are not teaching a game played by chicken without head, what is very often seen in many football clubs around the world, that the kids are highly enthusiastic to play the game, but none is thinking. 1 milligram of muscle tissue weight as much as 1 kilogram of muscles.